Hey guys, this is Jorian Wulf. This is my video project for ICS 382, Computer Security, taught by Sue Fitzgerald at Metropolitan State University. And today I will be talking to you about Wireshark. Wireshark is a pretty robust, useful tool for being completely free as well, which is really nice. Because if you're anything like me, I know you're probably going to want to check out the program before you actually have to buy it and make sure it's actually useful for your needs without having to pay money first. So Wireshark's really nice, and if you're going into any networking career, you're definitely going to want to know how to use Wireshark because it's a very basic packet analyzing program. So with that being said, Wireshark is generally like a packet analyzing tool for watching network traffic. And one example, let's say if you have like some kids or a guest or somebody that you want to monitor their network without actually like being behind them and physically watching their computer, the packet sniffing utility will allow you to see what websites they're going to, and if you want to prevent those, Wireshark won't allow you to do this, but you can see the sites that they went to, see what they're doing in their activity, and you can use like a router. If it's built in, you can block the site that way, or some sort of third-party application or service to prevent people from visiting those sites, especially if it's like a bad site or if it's like a weird site or phishing or something like that. So another example too is if you're like a network administrator or a system admin at a company or a bank or something like that, you can use Wireshark to monitor the traffic, and you can use it to prevent hacking or, any internal employee trying to break something. You can see like the uncommon packets that you normally see on like a normal day. You can see like the differences, you can see what kind of attempts they're doing and basically their activity. So if somebody really is trying to hack your stuff, you can figure it out most likely before it fully gets through, how they're doing it or what they're trying to do and what their intents are before it gets way worse. It's good for a preventative way for that reason. So it's also a good utility to analyze network bottlenecks. So let's say if your network connectivity just starts randomly getting slow, you can figure out what computer or who's doing it or basically what's happening. So that way you can improve your system speeds and you can just improve your network speed in general. So with that being said, let's get into the program. But first, I got to do the disclaimer of anything that you do with this program, I am not responsible for. If you get in trouble, I would recommend not using this at your work or some public network. I would do this only at home for personal reasons, just to play around with it, because you can get in trouble by doing this if it is against somebody's terms and conditions, or if you're on a public network. That agreement that you have to sign all the way at the bottom when you connect to someone's Wi-Fi, that's most likely in there, so you definitely want to not be doing this on public networks. Not a good idea in general. So, that being said, let's jump into the program. Alright, and I can see my screen that I went to wireshark.org, type that in, hit enter, and this is what pops up at the time of making this video. I'm sure it'll probably be different later down the road once they update the site, and over time it'll probably be a little different. But today we're going to go and hit the download button here. And it doesn't really matter if you're wanting Windows or Mac or Linux or any of that stuff, because for the most part the installers are pretty much the same and the program itself is generally about the same. So down here you will have your stable releases, and I'm going to go with Windows Installer 64-bit since I am running Windows 10. And downloading, it'll be pretty quick. This will speed up, but I'll just pause the video for now. We can see that Wireshark has now downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and click the install file that we just got. And we can see that Wireshark is now popped up here, and this is the install. we're just going to go through with some basic installs. We're not going to do much crazy, so we're just going to leave pretty much the defaults. But I do have a few things I would like to change. You can put your settings on however you want. So most of this stuff you don't really want to touch anyway, especially if you don't know what it is. I have actually already had the NPC cap installed because I've used Wireshark before in other similar programs. So yours will be checked. And just hit next. Do not uncheck it because you will need that. I do not use USB cap, so I will not need that. And we're going to let this install. There's going to be a series, maybe like 1 or 2 different screens that'll pop up saying more questions and stuff. So I'm just going to pause the video until then. Alright, fast forward to complete, hit next, and we are going to run Wireshark now. We will close this screen just to get it out of the way. And you can see Wireshark is now running in the background. It was loading our interfaces, and I have it currently running on my desktop, on a desktop computer, not a laptop. So you will see a bunch of local area connections because I also do a few networking things. So there might be a little extra here on mine. You might have 1 or 2, but just to show you, here's the Ethernet. I am plugged in via Ethernet, and I also do have a Wi-Fi card, actually 2 Wi-Fi antennas, but either way, it is showing right here that we do have some network connectivity and something's going on, so that's a good sign. It's also a good way to tell where, if you want to capture any local packets from your computer specifically, not from another person's. This is a good way to tell what activity is happening. Alright, so we're going to jump into it, and we're going to select Ethernet, which is my local network connection. Anything that my desktop computer that you're looking up at here uses the network for, it'll be captured on Wireshark. So you can also select something else, and you can also get your wireless connections for, you know, your wireless router and things like that, but that's a little bit more difficult than what we're going to get into today. Now, what I've used Wireshark before is if you have the hardware, you can actually have a computer that broadcasts a SSID for your wireless signal, just like a router would, and you can have it browse or broadcast a network, fake network, and you could have somebody connect to it unknowingly, and they start going on websites that are unsecure, and that's an easy way for you to capture their password. So definitely look out for that as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to double click that to start our capture. And now I have a website that I use that I will use for an unsecure connection, just a normal HTTP site. And over here you will see that it's starting to connect or capture our packets, network activity, all that stuff. I'm going to be using techpanda.org. Now the information here that we need is admin@google.com, and the password is password 2010 with a capital P, and we're going to put that in. Notice it says non-secure because it is an HTTP site, not HTTPS, and it does not use any other type of security at all, which makes it very easy for when we press submit. Somewhere in here it'll probably capture our packet. We'll get to that in a second. So what we're going to also do is add some new contact info. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my name and W, and then we're just going to put all 7s, and then 7@77.com, just like that. Sure, why not? Let's see if it works. Save changes up. So they do actually have some error checking as well. So we're going to save changes. Now we just posted that as well. We're going to go to the bottom because I've done this a couple times. You'll see my name a few times here. Here's our data we just put in, and I'm assuming our ID that they created. So you can also see other people's stuff too, just for fun. This is a little site we use for this testing purpose, but that's our info right there. I captured our password as well earlier, so I'm going to leave that site there. Go up to the top left of Wireshark and stop capturing our packets. And obviously this is a lot of data. You don't want to sift through it. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to just filter out our HTTP request. And since I've typed this a few times now, it's auto-populating up there. And we want to type http.request.method, method equals post equals post. And then we are just going to hit enter, and that will give us filtered out two different things. So I'm going to assume this first one is our login password info, and the second one is our submitted user data info. Now you can tell that this is a post request because it says obviously post right here, and that it is a HTTP post request. So if we not double click it, you can double click it, but I'm just going to go down to the center pane. And in here, you will see all the cookie data information that was transmitted. And there's our cookie, and then you also see the site that it was sent to here. And then if we go down back to HTML form URL, this is where it actually shows our password and email. So notice how easy that is in clear plain text to see our secure, or what you thought was secure, information, which is actually not very secure anymore. And then we're going to go back up to the top and check out the other one, and sure enough, there's our information we just typed in that was captured behind a password that we necessarily probably would not want somebody looking at. Like, think if this was a bank and you typed in your social security, or somebody knew how much money you had, or who knows what. Obviously, this is probably not going to happen because you do, banks now do use HTTPS and a lot more secure sites. So it'll be very rare to see an HTTP, but just wanted to make you aware of that, just in case, just to be careful. So some ways to prevent it is if you want to download like a VPN, then you will be able to have a virtual private network, and that'll secure and encrypt your data, so that way people like us cannot easily just use Wireshark and see what our password and information is like that. Alright, so now that we've finished the HTTP version of packet sniffing, I have actually came back into Wireshark and enabled my wireless down at the bottom, so now we do have 3 connections going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you HTTPS now that there's a secure level protocol on top of that. It will not be as easy to get the password, but you can still see that it's encrypted, and we will be just taking a look at what that looks like. So I selected Wi-Fi. This is my current network traffic over wireless internet, and I'm actually going to go back and select a different one. I'm going to select my Ethernet. But first I need to go here, change the Ethernet, start. There we go. So this is my normal Ethernet packet that's happening, the traffic and all that. So what I'm going to do is I have this site that is a generic HTTPS site. I have a login for this, and if you'll notice, if we type in SSL, there's not much traffic happening right now. So watch once I click login how much traffic actually will start happening. Notice all the extra packets now. That is because it is actually working with the server to the computer, creating a secure connection, so that way our information is not easily accessible like it was before, when it was not a HTTPS connection. So with that being said, your packet is still in here. It is encrypted, but unless you have the key, you will not be able to decrypt this packet to get the password, just like we did before with the other TechPanda website. So now if we go back to TechPanda again, and if we just do this real quick and sign in, you will not have any information there. But if we do HTTP, search that again, there you go. You have more packets like we did last time. So that's a quick overview of Wireshark. I know there's a lot more to be discussed about it, but this is just to get you guys a general feel for what it looks like and how easy some stuff is and some of the layout of it. So hope you learned something from this video, and look forward to learning more about Wireshark myself. Thank you.